Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ready When You Are. I am Fiooze Harroon, and as always, I am sitting across from my favorite person in the world, my wife, my business partner, and honestly, the reason any of this exists.
Oh, stop it. You're going to make me cry before we even get started.
Good, because today is actually a day worth getting emotional about.
It really is. And I want to say up front that today's episode is different from anything we have done on this podcast before. We are not talking about the market today. We are not walking through a strategy or breaking down a transaction. Today, we are talking about something that Fios and I have been building quietly for a long time, and we need you to hear about it before anybody else does.
We wrote a book.
Indeed, we wrote a book.
I still cannot believe I get to say that out loud.
Neither can I, honestly. And I think that is where I want to start because the story of how this book came to exist is not as clean as it probably looks from the outside.
So let me ask you this, because I think our listeners deserve the real answer. When did you first know this book needed to exist?
Honestly, before we even had our license, I kept watching agents come into this industry, people who were both smart and motivated and had every reason to succeed, and then slowly fall apart in those first few months because nobody had prepared them for what the reality actually looked like. And I kept thinking someone needs to write this down. Someone needs to have this conversation out loud.
And then you looked at me.
And then I looked at you, dear.
You know what I remember? I remember you saying we have enough between the two of us to fill a book. And I thought you were being dramatic.
Of course, I was not being dramatic.
You were absolutely not being dramatic. Between your 18 years of operations leadership and everything I learned in 30 years of watching human beings try to learn hard things, we genuinely had something to say about that nobody else was saying in quite this way.
And that is the thing. There are plenty of real estate books out there. We were not naive about that. But what I kept finding when I looked at what was available was either a textbook that told you the mechanics or a highlight reel that showed you someone else's success. And neither of those things is what a brand new agent sitting at their desk on day one actually needs.
What do they need?
They need someone to tell them the truth. They need someone to say, I know what it feels like right now. I know the uncertainty and the doubt and the fear that you made the wrong choice. And here is what I know from the other side of it.
That is exactly what a good teacher does, by the way. You do not just teach the content, you teach the person. You meet them where they are and you tell them the truth about the path forward actually looks like.
Which is why this book could not have been written without you, dear. And I mean that.
I know you do.
So let us talk about what this book actually is, because I want our listeners to understand this is not what they might expect.
Right. So the full title is The First 90 Days The Truth. They don't teach you in real estate school. And I think that subtitle says everything about what we were going for.
It does, because we are not talking about things real estate school forgot to mention. We are talking about things this industry actually, actively, does not prepare you for. The financial realities of the first year, what lead generation actually looks like when you have no track record, the mindset shift from being an employee to running your own business, how to handle a slow period without falling apart, how to lose a deal and not lose yourself in the process.
That last one is so important because nobody talks about that. Nobody sits down with a new agent and says, here is what it feels like when you pour everything into a transaction and it falls apart 3 days before closing. And here is how you get back up.
We talk about it in detail and we do not sugarcoat it.
We absolutely do not. And I think that is what makes this book different from anything else I have read in this space. It does not pretend that the hard parts are not hard. It just gives you a roadmap to navigate them.
The book is structured in 5 parts. We start with the truth about day one, what your license actually gives you, and what you still have to build. Then we move into building before you are ready. The systems, the brand, the CRM, the money conversation. Then the real work, lead generation, client communication, slow periods, lost deals. Then we get into the future, AI in real estate, technology, adoption. And we close with your first transaction and what comes next after you close it.
20 chapters total. And woven through every single part are my reflections as an educator, because I kept seeing these connections between what I know about how people learn and what agents actually experience in the field. And Shondrea gave me the space to put those observations into the book in my own voice.
Because they belong there. Fiooze sees things that I do not see, and his 30 years give this book a dimension that I could not have created alone. There is a chapter he closes out, chapter 20, the final chapter, and it is entirely his. And I will be honest with you, when I read his version of that chapter, I sat there and I cried.
You did not tell me that.
Well, I'm telling you now, on the podcast, in front of everybody. It was exactly right. It was everything this book needed to close on.
That means more to me than you know.
Can we be honest about something for a minute?
Always.
Writing this book was not easy. And I do not mean the logistics of it. I mean it was emotionally hard. Because when you write something this honest, you are not just sharing information. You are making yourself accountable to it. You are saying in print, to the world, this is what I believe about this industry. And this is what I stand behind. And this is a vulnerable place to operate from.
There is a concept in education called authentic assessment. The idea that the most meaningful measure of learning is not a test, but a real product that is a real audience will engage with. This book is our authentic assessment. It is the proof of everything we say we believe about this industry put into a form that anyone can hold up and evaluate.
And that is terrifying.
Hmm. It is a little terrifying, yes.
There were chapters I almost softened. Moments where I thought maybe this is too direct. Maybe this is too honest. Maybe agents do not want to hear this.
And then what happened?
And then I thought about the agent sitting at that desk on day one who needed this book and did not have it. And I kept everything in it.
That is the right call. Every time. Because the agents who read this and feel seen by it, the ones who get to chapter 11 about slow periods or chapter 12 about losing a deal and think someone had finally said it out loud, those are the agents who are going to carry this book with them through their entire first year.
That is all we wanted. That is genuinely all we wanted from this.
Well, that and for Fiona to make a cameo somewhere.
Fiona is the chief comfort officer. She deserves her own chapter.
She really does.
Okay, let us talk about what we actually need from our community right now, because this matters, and I want to be direct about it.
Please.
The first 90 days releases on July the 7th. That is the date. Circle it. Put it in your phone. Tell somebody about it. But here is what I really need you to hear. Pre-orders are available right now. Today. On Kindle, Amazon, Apple Books, and Barnes & Nobles. And pre-orders matter more than most people realize.
Can you explain that? Because I think a lot of people hear pre-order and they just think it means buying it early.
It is so much more than that. When a book gets pre-ordered, it signals to the platform that there is real demand for it. It affects where the book shows up in search results. It affects whether Amazon and Apple and Barnes & Nobles recommend it to people who are not already following us. A strong pre-order window can be the difference between a book that reaches the people it was written for and ones that get buried under everything else that releases that week.
So when you pre-order, you are not just getting the book, you are helping us get the book to the people who need it most.
Exactly. And look, we did not write this book for the agents who already have everything figured out. We wrote it for the ones who are figuring it out right now, in real time, with more questions than answers, and enough courage to keep going. If that is you, this is your book. If you know that person, this is the book you send to them.
Think about who in your life just got their license. Who on your team is in their first year? Who in your family mentioned they were thinking about getting into real estate? That is your person. Get them this book.
The links are in our show notes and in our bio across every platform: Kindle, Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Nobles. For the ebook right now, paperback, hardcover, and audio available everywhere books are sold worldwide on July the 7th.
And when you order it, tag us. Seriously. We want to see it. We want to celebrate with every single person who gets their hand on this.
We really do. This community is why this book exists. You all deserve to be the first to have it.
You know what I keep thinking about?
What's that?
I keep thinking about the teacher I was in year 1. How much I did not know. How much I had to figure out on my own because nobody handed me a roadmap. And how different things might have looked if someone had sat me down and said, here is the truth about what you're walking into, and here is how to walk through it.
That is exactly why we wrote it.
I know, and I'm proud of us for writing it.
Me too. I am really proud of us.
To everyone listening, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the community that made us believe this was worth doing. The book drops July 7th. Pre-order it today. And if it helps you, if a chapter hits exactly at the right moment, if you close it and you feel more ready than you did when you opened it, tell us. We genuinely want to know.
That is what we are here for. That is what we have always been here for.
Ready when you are.
Ready when you are. See you all in the next episode.